Hey everyone, Goku-san DBZ, and welcome back for a new top 10 sales list, where on occasion I count down the top 10 best-selling games on a specific console. So with that said, this time we're going retro. I decided to play 16-bit music in the background, though we're going back before even 8-bit. We're going back to the first real true game console, at least for many people. And that is the Atari 2600. This is the top 10 best-selling games for the Atari 2600. First, honorable mentions. 4 that didn't quite make the top 10 sales, but still sold pretty decent. First up, selling an estimated 1.36 million copies, Centipede. Next, selling an estimated 1.46 million copies, the original Donkey Kong, which is a true arcade classic. Coming in at, or another honorable mention, selling an estimated 1.59 million copies, Mario Bros. Or Mario Brothers. Last honorable mention, selling an estimated 1.60 million, or 1.6, whatever. River Raid, which is actually a game I don't know anything about. Coming in at number 10 is a true arcade classic, selling an estimated 1.64 million copies, Dig Dug, which is definitely a pretty well-known, of the classic games from that era, it's definitely one of the probably best well-known games from that period of time. Coming at number 9, another classic, selling just 10,000 more copies, estimated to have sold 1.65 million copies, Miss Pac-Man comes in 9th. Next, selling an estimated 1.97 million copies, just shy of 2 million, surprises me. And number 8 is E.T., the extraterrestrial, which surprises me given it was blamed for the market crash, though I feel E.T. gets way too much blame and it doesn't deserve all the blame it gets. It's not as bad as some games I've seen for the Atari 2600, but yeah, it's the 8th best-selling game. Next, coming in at number 7, another classic from that era, less well-known game nowadays, selling an estimated 2.13 million copies, Demon Attack. Coming in at number 6 is probably one of the best well-known arcade classics from this time period, selling an estimated 2.20 million copies, Frogger, which is definitely one I'm sure most people have heard of, even if you haven't played it. Coming in at number 5 is probably my personal favorite game from the Atari 2600 era. And that is a true arcade classic, selling an estimated 2.53 million copies, Space Invaders, which is easily, as I said, my favorite of all the games on this list. Coming in at number 4, selling an estimated 2.76 million copies, Missile Command, which is another pretty solid game from that time period. Coming in number 3 is another one of the best well-known games from this time period. Coming in at number 3, selling an estimated 4.31 million copies, Asteroids. As I said, pretty well-known game. Next, coming in at number 2, selling an estimated 4.50 million, or just 4.5 million copies, Pitfall, which I'm surprised is the second best-selling game on the console. But coming in at number 1 is a game that set the record for amount of money in arcade cabinets for a very long time period. It is number 1. It's definitely an all-time classic, and there's been so many remakes and remasters and stuff of this game, it's ridiculous. Selling an estimated 7.81 million copies, which is pretty impressive, especially given this time period. Number 1 best-selling game on the Atari 2600 is Pac-Man. So, definitely kind of cool. And it's surprising to see how good Pac-Man sold. In fact, it is one of the top 10 best-selling games also on the Intellivision and the ColecoVision. But with that said, this surprisingly turned out a pretty short video, but this was the top 10 best-selling Atari 2600 games. So tell me below, of the games on this list, which ones are you most surprised at how well it did? For me, it was E.T. I'm really surprised it did almost 2 million. But with that said, I'll see everyone next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. Probably about 2 weeks from now, I'll do another top 10 sales list. And the next one is going to be, I've already decided, is going to be the top 10 best-selling Game Boy Advance games. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, I'll see you all soon enough.